So hi, it's Caleb Booker here with another live video. I'm actually tonight at the Eat So They Can event. It's Beyond the Crystal Ball. And tonight there are people getting psychic readings from a whole bunch of local practitioners around the Niagara region, all for a good cause, all for the Eat So They Can event charity. I have a lot of conflicted ideas when it comes to charity. I mean, after all, I just finished reading Atlas Shrugged and I loved it. And it's like anti-charity. But you know, I'm realizing more and more that I have to stop thinking so hard about these things, because reality is what it is, whether or not I understand it. I think to explain that in a way that makes sense, I want you to just sort of imagine something for a moment. See if we can work together on this. Imagine that you are a woman, which for half of you is probably real easy. But imagine you're a woman who lives in a village with no electricity, in a shack that is made of random bits of whatever plywood and corrugated metal you could get. This is actually a very common scenario in literally every country in the world. Yes, in the US, yes, in Canada. I was shocked when I found out too. But in every country in the world, there is always somewhere where people live like that, in a place with no electricity, no running water, and no real shelter beyond just a shack that's just there to keep the weather out, the harsh weather. And every day when you get up, you hope you can find food. So if you're watching this video, chances are you live in a place with electricity and food on every corner, and you know your taps run water. Well, these people don't live like that. If they find water, chances are there's a good chance it'll kill them through dysentery and all these other problems. But this is their day-to-day life. Now imagine you're that woman, and imagine you have a kid. You have a daughter, and you look at her and you think, what can I do? Well, I mean, what can you do? And so it's organizations like this that actually come up with a solution. I mean, they'll come into a town and they'll build this school up so that it actually gives kids an education where they can get themselves out of these situations. I've actually seen it where they've built a village up to the point where these kids can go out and become doctors and lawyers. I mean, for real, from a life where they weren't even sure they could eat to a life where they're actually a doctor. I mean, this happens regularly. And you'd be surprised how little it takes. But, I'm not going to make a big appeal for you to make a donation today. That's not what this is about. We do a lot of philosophy. I mean, my channel, I do a lot of philosophy. But when you really think about what we're talking about here, we're talking about a situation where these are people who have nothing, not even hope. Where generation after generation after generation, they scratch out a living. And they've got to have it, well, they have as many kids as they have because they don't even have an understanding of contraception, let alone an access to it. They just don't know how the stuff works. They just hope that they live to the next day and that their kids live. They're just hoping every day that they survive, one day after another. And organizations like this can come into a town and teach them everything they need to know to get potable water that won't kill them, to build shelters that they can stay warm in and will protect them from, the rats and everything else in the world. They could teach them how to build schools and teach them how to teach children, which is an involved skill, actually. It's kind of a complex thing. I think anybody can do it. It's not true. And then they leave. This is the best part. These charities, they leave after they teach these people all these things and help them build the basic necessities because they're not needed anymore. These villages actually become self-sufficient. They learn everything they need to learn and build themselves up from there. Imagine being that woman who has had generation after generation before her die early with no hope. And then somebody comes into town and says, things could be different for your daughter. And imagine that being true. Imagine it happening where your daughter actually grows up having a life like you could not have dreamed or hoped for your entire life. You're like your mother had never hoped for, like your grandmother had never hoped for, and that it's permanent. That after these people, give their good news and give you some basic skills and some basic resources, they leave, and your daughter lives an amazing life, and her daughter lives an incredible life, and it just keeps going and going and going. all philosophy aside, that's doing something real. Now, I guess I will pitch Eat So They Can because they're fun. You know, they do things like Beyond the Crystal Ball. It's all fortune-telling stuff. They do, so I'm referring to notes, check me out. They do crazy cupcake drives, cupcake parties. They do, I was being told about a bowling event that they did, all just fun stuff. And they help you organize these things. In fact, they don't actually take the power out of your hands at all. They teach you how to make these differences all by yourself without asking anybody's permission. You just decide you're going to have a good time and do it for a good cause. And they just give you the basic tools to give somebody else the basic tools to do something real. I don't know if that sounds like a good idea to you. I don't know if it makes any sense to me, but it's starting to sound appealing. That's all I gotta say.